Hi, my name is Nikolai Warren, and this is the first of 5 videos where I discuss an important idea related to organization design that I think would have a big positive impact if it was more widely adopted. If you're a leader or somebody helping a leader, you have probably confronted the situation where you feel that you need to make improvements in the organization in order to stay competitive, yet have found that people have difficulty embracing the change and imagining things to be any different from what it is today. As a result, you're only able to make small incremental adjustments that may not address the underlying problem that you're facing. How can we raise the aspiration level, discover new possibilities, and create ownership for designs that differ radically from the ones we have today? The idea I will discuss in this video is all about how we address this particular challenge. So keep watching to find out more. What I will describe here is the concept of idealized design. It was proposed by Russell Ackoff, the late US professor known for his work in systems theory. This is about how we create an image of where we want to be and compare that to where we are today, identify key obstacles to performance, and create an understanding for the need for change. Before I go on, you may ask, what does this have to do with organization design? Isn't organization design about drawing boxes and lines between them on an organization chart? Well, look at it this way. Why would you even want to redesign an organization if you're happy with the way it works today? Design is all about understanding purpose, linking that to possible solutions, and exploring alternative ways of doing things in the future. So we need to understand how we do this. How do we identify what the key requirements are, and how do we define possible new solutions? Unfortunately, there are many obstacles that prevent us from creating effective designs. Large organizations in particular tend to reward conservative behavior, not innovative problem solving. Most decisions need to have the consensus of several stakeholders, and in this process, while it secures necessary agreement, it can also lead the more radical ideas to be rejected, even though they may be necessary. And as individuals, we may even have difficulty imagining our organizations to be any different from what they are today. So we look backwards and reuse old solutions instead of creating new ones. The result is that many organizational redesigns are just add-ons and extensions of the current model. In many cases, that's all right if you are in a stable environment and only need some incremental improvement. But what Russell Ackoff was addressing was what we should do when we need more radical improvement, when the environment is changing and the current model no longer works. This is where the notion of idealized design comes in. The idea is very simple. Let me show it to you on a slide here. Ackoff observed that when people plan, they usually move from the current state to the next in small steps. And his proposal was to do the opposite, to invite people in the organization into a design process and ask them to imagine what the ideal solution would look like, and then work backwards from that. So he says, forget about how we do it today. Start with a blank sheet of paper. Imagine that the current organization was destroyed last night. Build a new one that will be ideal given the current challenges that we have. The main purpose with this is to have people think more creatively by removing the constraints that we impose on our thinking and that prevent us from seeing new solutions. But he also says that it helps you encounter the right solution a lot more quickly. He uses a simple example to illustrate this. Imagine that there are 64 players in a tennis tournament. How many matches are there? To answer this question with the usual forward planning approach, you first count the first 32 matches and then add the subsequent 16 matches and then 8 and then 4 and then 2 and then the final match. And you find that the answer is 63. But if you start with the end, you arrive at the solution more quickly if you instead ask how many losers will there need to be in a tennis tournament with 64 players. There's one loser per match, so the answer is obviously 63. 63 matches will need to be played in order to produce one winner. I should add that the goal is to create a model that works. One rule is that the ideal model that is developed must be feasible. It may be new and creative, but it should be possible to implement it given the technological knowledge we have today and the political environment and the rules and regulations and so on. Secondly, what I have described is only a part of a sequence of activities in a redesign process. Before you create the idealized design, you should first analyze the current organization or the current system and identify the key obstacles to performance so that you have a good understanding of the underlying problem that you're trying to resolve. And once you have the ideal solution, it of course is necessary to operationalize it and implement it and further improve it in the future. This approach can be used at any level. It can be used to design a better department, a better process, or a better product. It can be used to redesign an entire corporation or even address world problems like Ackoff has described in his writings. And by the way, I think this approach can be combined with a couple of other techniques that I have described elsewhere, such as axiomatic design, which I cover in my book. So when you define the ideal model, you can do that by describing both the what and the how, the requirements and the design parameters. In some of my projects, I use post-it notes, each note representing a role or unit in the future organization. If it's a product or process that you are designing, you can use some simple means for constructing a physical prototype. There are many advantages to having a physical model of something that you are developing. And while doing this, we can also extract and more precisely define the functional requirements of the future system. And this we do by going back and forth between our model and the list of written requirements that express what the ideal organization or system must be capable of. The requirements help us to articulate and clarify both the overall purpose and how that purpose can be broken down into more detailed specifications for the various subparts of the design, whether they are steps in a process flow or units in an organization. In the next video, I'll build on this and explain how effective design is about finding ways of reconciling apparently contradictory requirements. So for example, what do you do when you have one requirement that says that you need to be local to provide good customer service, and another one that says that you need to be global to have cost efficiency? I hope you found this useful. If you don't subscribe to my blog already and want to receive an email when the next video is posted, make sure that you enter your first name and email address in the subscription box that you find on the blog. Cheers.